Go ahead and hit record for this session. We'd like to welcome Jane Goatley from CKEC, who is a math consultant, and she's going to be sharing information regarding the math SDI toolkit, as well as other pieces of mathematical information. I am Stacy Noah, and I'll be facilitating the session. If you have any type of technical issues that I can address, please feel free to direct message me, or if there's issues with audio or the video, just unmute and let us know that. Thank you for being here.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you, Stacy, for that introduction. My name is Jane Goatley. I am the math consultant at CKEC, and I'm excited to be with you all today. Just a little bit about my background before we dive into the toolkit here. I am in my second year at CKEC. Before that, I was in the classroom in Boyle County. I have a background in math. My undergraduate degree is in mathematics and Spanish. And then I have certification in special education through the University of the Cumberlands. I was an option 6 candidate because being a teacher was not in my plan, but it has worked out beautifully. And I love education and I love teaching. And this role has been really fun to kind of marry my background in mathematics with special education. And my time in the classroom, I was in elementary, but I work with students all the way up through college age, students outside of school, and doing support with all grade levels of math. So I'm excited. I think some of you all have been on here for the other toolkit trainings. It's going to be similar. The structure of the math toolkit is a little bit different, but really a helpful resource. These toolkits were created by the consultants at the SURTAX, the regional special education co-ops, cooperatives. And so this was really in the works before I got here, but it's such a great tool, and I'm so glad to be able to share this information. And we really want this in the hands of teachers. I just know as an option 6 special ed teacher, this would have been like fabulous to have as a new teacher, and even as a more seasoned teacher, just the resources and that continued learning piece, so we can be able to provide the best instruction possible for our students. So all of the math consultants have this training and can provide support moving forward. I know this has been a long day of learning together, so I'm going to try to be as engaging as possible and be quick and to the point for you all, because we have a limited amount of time here today. But when we think about specially designed instruction, we're thinking about our students with IEPs and determining, like, where does this fit within the IEP process? So this graphic comes straight from the IEP guidance document on page 7. But when we're thinking about, working through the IEP process, we're working through that development with a student. We've thought about their present level. So what does their baseline data say? We've considered the special factors. We're working on developing these goals. And then we have to think about what specially designed instruction is going to support my student to meeting those goals. And that's where this specially designed instruction toolkit comes into play. So thinking about specially designed instruction through the lens of the IEP development process is something we want to consider today. At CKEC, we have really loved Ann Benninghoff's work. And I think all over the state is kind of diving into some of her special education work with specially designed instruction. And this comes from her book on specially designed instruction. And this was really impactful to me when I was still in the classroom and learning about specially designed instruction and how to implement it in the classroom. We want to think about these big questions. So telling teachers, say, we want you to think through this lens. What IEP goal did I work on with my students with disabilities? And what did I do today as a special education teacher that was special? So this is the lens we want teachers to be thinking through. And so I always kind of had in my mind, if an administrator came in and asked me these 2 questions, what would I respond with? And was I prepared in my instruction to be really intentional with my students? So these are just good questions to think about. What IEP goal did I work on today? And what did I do today that was special? So when we think about some guiding questions for specially designed instruction, before we get into the toolkit, just quickly, is it special? Is it something different from the typical gen ed tier 1 practices, right? So it needs to be, students are getting the tier 1, and this is the in addition to. Is it related to the IEP goal? And are we collecting data for progress monitoring? Okay, it has to be instruction and not just a tool or an accommodation, right? When we go into classrooms, we want to see the special education teachers providing instruction and not just those accommodations. Is it intentional? Is my specially designed instruction that I, as the special education teacher, am providing, is it designed to bring about progress? Is it well thought out and designed so this is a skill that will go with that student and transfer to other content areas and future grade levels? And is it building independence? So we've got to think about all these things. We want our students to be independent and not dependent. So these are just some guiding questions that are good. I've linked the slide deck, so if you want to take any of this back with you, feel free to take it and please share. So thinking about the math SDI toolkit, there's a couple of different components here. So what I want to do, I'm going to put this link in the chat box. I want you all just to take a few minutes and just explore. And I want you to think about things that you notice and things that you wonder just through your exploration of the toolkit. And I'm going to go into the breakdown of it in just a little bit, but you can scan the QR code and I'm going to put the link for you as well in the chat box. So let's take 3 minutes and just explore a little bit. And think about things that you notice and things that you wonder. As our 3 minutes kind of concludes here, I want to know if you all would be willing to share in the chat box, just after looking at the toolkit, what are things that you noticed? What are things that you wondered, things that you like, that you want to know more about? So go ahead and we're going to waterfall those in the chat box. Whenever you're ready. So let's just send them on through. Yeah, so the strategies are embedded and there's further instructional materials linked. Yes, Stacy. Strategies are included because sometimes our teachers need strategies and a place to start, which is nice. Thank you, Tristan. All right, we'll keep moving forward here. So the purpose of this math SDI toolkit was designed to improve the quality of selection of SDI and strengthening the connection between the IEP goals and the progress monitoring and the Kentucky academic standards. Keeping all of those things in mind was really important when we're thinking about this. Gail says it notes on when to use a particular strategy. Absolutely. So we're going to kind of walk through it here, and then I'm going to show you a couple of features that have been added to the toolkit. So when we're thinking about the math, it's not broken down by the Kentucky Academic Standard math domains. We kind of have these big ideas that encompass the math domains within it. So that's kind of how that's organized to start with. So as you can see at the top here, these Kentucky Academic Standards domains are included in like the number system and operations big idea. We have counting cardinality, operations and algebraic thinking, excuse me, words are hard in the afternoon, numbers and base 10, thinking on it, so on and so forth. Those are listed in these big ideas. So just know that you can find that at the top. Then we have in the left column, the area of concern. So when I'm thinking about my student, I have their baseline data. I've worked through that IEP development process. I've thought about their goals, and now I'm saying, okay, what is that area of concern for my student? That's that first column, right? So if our student has trouble with number, words, and numerals, this is the kind of the more broad area here. And then we're going to move over to the problem indicators, which is in the middle column. And that's going to be a more specific area that we're noticing in our students' abilities and areas that they're struggling with. So within number, words, and numerals, maybe they're having trouble with the number before and the number after. That's a more specific problem indicator compared to same age peers. So that's important to note. We're thinking about this compared to same age peers. So that's the middle column. And then we're moving over to the SDI, which the SDI options that we've listed are evidence or research based. And this is not an exhaustive list, like I said, but it is a place to start. So thinking about, okay, the area of concern, then we've moved to the problem indicator to kind of narrow it down even further. Now we're going to think about our students specifically and say, well, what specially designed instruction strategy will support that student toward their goal? Okay. Also on the toolkit are sample goals, right? We want to provide teachers with sample goals. This does not mean we should copy and paste them into our IEPs, but we want to provide just a frame of reference for our teachers, and linked in the toolkit are sample probes as well. So it's just sometimes it's nice to have a place to generate ideas. It's a place to start. I mentioned we have some sample probes linked. So with the Math SDI Toolkit is a supporting document. So that supporting document is linked on the front page of the Math SDI Toolkit and throughout the toolkit as well. So within the supporting document, we will find the tools, this SDI tools and strategies. And let's say I need to learn a little bit more about SDI. I can learn about it here. There's some links. There's the IEP lesson plan development handbook is linked. And then furthermore, the strategies are linked. So let's say there's a new teacher and they're not, we've heard concrete, semi-concrete, abstract strategy, but I need to know more about it. They can go to that supporting document and read about the CSA strategy. And then there are further links that support that model and that strategy that they would be implementing. So it's kind of an overview of what the strategy is, how to implement it in the classroom, and just some further literature to read up on that strategy. One thing I want to point out here, there is a star on some of the strategies in the supporting document. That the star indicates that strategy is going to support students that have moderate to severe disabilities, more severe disabilities, so that these strategies are going to support those students. Yes, Amanda, there is a tool. Let me see if I have it still. There it is. So the STAR strategies are going to be for students that have more severe disabilities. Any questions here? Are we good so far? And I'm going to do a little bit of further of a breakdown. Just wanted to double check, give you all space if there are any questions. So I'm just going to go through the process. I know we don't have a ton of time, but this will be pretty quick. Going through the process with a specific student scenario. So this is not like what we would deem, baseline data. The math consultants, we just wanted to give a scenario to kind of give an example to work through the toolkit. So this is Steven's scenario. So Steven's relative strength is that he can count verbally forward to 10 and backward from 10. He is unable to consistently count objects accurately, and he has no method to keep track of what he's counting. So when he is counting within 20, Steven is unable to communicate the total. When presented with a collection, he has difficulty with counting the quantity of objects and has difficulty with structuring the collection for counting. Okay, so Steven's having some trouble. So let's walk through the process. So in this process, we've already considered special present levels. We have that data. We've walked through special factors. We've got goals in mind that we're thinking about. Now we're thinking about, okay, what specially designed instruction can we use with Steven to support him toward that goal? So first we want to think about the area of concern. Steven's area of concern would be one-to-one correspondence. The information we have says he's struggling with that. So that would be the left column of the math toolkit. Then we're going to go to the problem indicators. So within one-to-one correspondence, which is the area of control or area of concern, excuse me, he's having trouble keeping track of objects counted. So now we've got to consider his abilities, because we know Steven and his abilities. So we've got to think about each individual student and think about which specially designed instruction is most appropriate. Okay, so we've got to think about each student individually as we work through this. So given the goal for Steven, so when given 8 tasks with up to 20 objects, Steven will count using one-to-one correspondence with 75% accuracy on 4 of 5 trials as measured by a teacher-developed probe. We can link the probe's linked here just for teachers to see this goal is in the toolkit as well. So using the toolkit, we see that one-to-one correspondence is in the number systems and operations, big idea. The problem indicators that Steven's having trouble keeping track of objects counted. So that's the second step. And then we're going to think about, okay, Steven's unique situation and his unique needs. What do we need to consider there, right? He's really having trouble keeping track to be able to communicate the total. So what type of specially designed instruction does Steven need to be successful? So these are some options. So Steven, we may pick based on Steven's needs and what we know about Steven and what's going to fit best with his needs, is that we may pick explicit instruction in multisensory teaching strategies. But you may say, hey, Jane, I don't know what that means, right? So we can click on that link in the toolkit. It's going to take us to the supporting document that talks about multisensory instruction. And then the counting strategies link would send teachers to another PDF that talks about how to embed counting strategies and a multisensory approach into the classroom, right? So we might pick that. We're like, that fits Steven really well. We're going to add that to his IEP. So here's just kind of what that would look like in Infinite Campus in the IEP. We have the goal. The method of measurement would be a direct measure, and then the specially designed instruction would be the multisensory teaching strategies. And then we reinforce when we train this with teachers that there are math SDI options in the menu on Infinite Campus as well. So the ARC committee has chosen the SDI strategy. We're going to add that to the IEP because we know all these decisions are an ARC decision. So to kind of reinforce kind of what we started with, we want teachers to always think through the lens of what IEP goal did I work on today and what did I do that is special. One thing I want to note or to show you all in the live toolkit here if you want to share this with teachers or other educators, there is now an overview video on the Math SDI Toolkit where some of the math consultants break down kind of what I've done today, how to use it. And then in the supporting document, we have labeled with the strategies, either EB, there's our STAR strategy, which is evidence-based, or RB, which is a research-based strategy. Because some districts want to use evidence-based strategies. So we have labeled those for people using the toolkits. And I'm not sure that reading the literacy has done that yet. I think they're working on it though. But math, we went ahead and did that for teachers. So you can see the EB is evidence-based, RB is research-based, and that STAR strategy is going to be strategies that support students with more severe disabilities. So with I have a couple of minutes left. I just wanted to open the floor up to questions. And I would love if you all would think about if you yourself are going to be using this tool, or who are some educators that you can share this tool with. Just link it and share it. We want to get this into the hands of teachers. So just think about some of those things. If you want to share, that'd be great. And I'm going to be here for any questions that you might have. And if you don't have any questions, please feel free to contact me at jane.goatley@ckec.org with anything that you might have. I'd be happy to support, or if you want to hang on and just ask a couple questions, that's great too. So if not, thank you all so much for your time.
Jane, how new is this tool?
It was released last fall.
Well, it's an awesome tool.
Yeah, it's
Loves it.
wonderful. It's a great resource, and the teachers that we've trained, done trainings with, they have been so excited and happy to embed it within kind of their work. And it's just a nice place to get some ideas, and a great resource to have. And I know a lot of the special education teachers are option 6, option 7, they've not gone down traditional routes. So this is a great resource, I think, for them.
Okay, well, if we don't have any other questions or comments, I'm
Yep.
going to pause the recording, stop the recording.